Don't know me, my name is Chad Kirby, and I teach electrical construction design and management at Dunwoody. And on my spare time, I manage the department too. So I've been at Dunwoody for 10 years, and this is my 10th group graduating from the electrical construction design and management. Before I start, I have my partner for the last 10 years, Gary Ryman, would like to say a few words to the guests, industry guests, as well as our students. So I'll start with Mr. Ryman.
Good morning. Is this working?
There's a button on.
I believe that everybody should practice their microphone skills. So even though I can speak without a microphone and do every day, can you hear me now? How's this?
Better.
Better? Am I coming through okay? You guys are just fluffing me on like you always do. All right. Because it's the end of the year, it's June, and it's been a pretty eventful year. I had three things that I thought maybe would be good for me to talk today, especially to the new graduates. And of course, I'm sure the people that are here to evaluate our presentations and have all their ties back in the industry, basically your bosses, would like to hear this. But I think the first thing that would be important to talk about would be gratitude. And at this time of the year, it's kind of a moment to take a step back. You're at a crossroads of your life, where maybe you can see where the path that you would have gone on if you wouldn't have gone to Dunwoody has changed, and now you've opened up some new doors and built some new bridges, and you're going to go in some new directions. And I think it's really important to take a moment and be grateful, not only for the learning opportunities that you've had here that kind of go beyond any particular instructor, myself or Chad or any of your arts and science instructors, but to think about the other people in your life that have made this opportunity available to you. And that might be your parents, might be your wives, your kids, maybe some other people that have been important in your lives. And kind of be grateful for the fact that you have sort of the abilities that have been given to you to learn and to acquire the new skills that you're going to need when you go out into the, out into the work field. And speaking of work, the second thing that I want to talk about is hard work. Because some of you might think that you've been working hard, but I'm here to tell you that when you go to work for real out in the world, it's going to be 8 hours. Let me see. I think most of you think this is a full day. Well, it's going to start changing into 8 hours. And so, and by and large, my mother would always say to me that anything worth doing is worth doing well. And personally, I've never been able to do anything well without putting a considerable amount of effort into it. I know there sometimes are people that seem to glide through it and don't put much effort into it. Usually, you just don't see it. That means they're secretly doing it behind the scenes, generally speaking. But hard work is not only something that you're going to do at your 8-hour-a-day job, but if you see yourself as becoming a leader in our industry, one of the things that's important is community service and kind of going above and beyond the normal expectations of your job. So if you're just doing your job, you're just not doing enough. And I want to tell you that being a leader is hard work, and you need to think about ways that you can give back to your community and your industry, and think about other projects. Now I know for teachers here, for me, myself, it's not enough for me just to teach in the classroom, that I need to take and go a little bit beyond that, and so every year I try to do some extra stuff. And I don't want to get in too much into my LinkedIn profile at the moment, but so think about that it is going to be a lot harder than you expect. And that will carry you through. There are going to be times we are going to have to put in extra hours and times at your jobs, and you're going to find it difficult, and it's just going to take hard work. And the last thing that I would like to talk to you about is a sense of personal integrity. I know that when you're in school, a lot of times you're looking over your shoulders at the guys around you and how everybody else is doing. But out in the real world, what really seems to come through is if you have a sense of personal integrity, which means that you are self-motivated, you are self-directed, that you have some values, and that when you work with your employers, that if your personal values align with your employer's values, with maybe some of the things like missions and goal statements, or just even the culture that is there at a particular job site, that is what is really going to sustain you. And I like to believe that there's an appropriate placement, or there's a good placement for everybody, and not every job suits everybody. So finding the right fit is usually a matter of finding out that your own personal values are in agreement or congruent with your boss's or company or organization's values. And there will be times when those values will be challenged. And those are the moments when you discover what you're made out of and what your price is. So at some point, somebody is going to ask you to do something that you don't agree with, and you might have to respectfully state that opinion, and maybe that's all you can do. There might be other times when you find yourself in compromising safety situations with your men, or you might have to take a stand. But it's in those moments when you have to make decisions about where you lie on certain important things, important values that you hold dear. That's when you find out who you are and what you are made of. So, thank you for listening to those three kind of preachy types of things. The Reverend Ryman has been on his soapbox again, but I want to congratulate everybody on their successful accomplishments this year, especially this group back over here, which sees how I remember what they looked like when they first came to Dunwoody 2 years ago, and believe me, they didn't look quite like that. I have to say they all look much better, to tell you the truth. I think they look much better. So thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate all of everybody being here and participating in our presentations. And with that, I will pass it back to Chad.
Thank you, Gary.